Through the porthole, stars drift past in a slow arc. Inside, the heating element ticks and the water recycler murmurs its low, familiar note. Tonight we settle in beside the quiet work of the Pulsar shield arrays on the zombie Pulsar world. Let the hum of the station soften around you, sink gently beneath the blankets. The stars can keep watch while you rest. Let your mind float free of the day. This is Orbital Nights. Let us begin. The Pulsar is a steady, unwavering presence in the far distance, casting a pale, flickering glow across the instrumentation. Here, on the outer rim of the Lich system, the pulses of energy arrive with a precision that defines our every hour. Every 6 milliseconds, the beam sweeps across the station, a spectral force that we have learned to harness and turn aside. Inside the habitat, the atmosphere is cool and carries the faint scent of ozone from the nearby ion scrubbers. I watch the monitors as they track the magnetic fields, ensuring the shields remain stable against the onslaught of radiation. It is a quiet duty, one that requires more patience than action, as we drift through the silent reaches of space. The habitat walls hum with a low-frequency vibration, a sign that the cooling pumps are working to dissipate the heat from the shield generators. It is a comforting murmur, a reminder that the life support systems are functioning as they should. In the dim light of the control room, the amber glow of the status indicators reflects off the glass panels. Looking out through the reinforced observation port, the planet Poltergeist appears as a shimmering sphere of violet and grey. Its surface is a chaotic landscape of jagged rock and frozen gases, illuminated by the strobe of the central star. We are the watchers on the edge, keeping the light at bay so that the colony below can thrive in the shadows. This outpost has been operational for over 40 years, a testament to the endurance of those who first mapped these dead worlds. The structure is built from dense, radiation-hardened alloys, designed to withstand the constant bombardment of subatomic particles. Every bolt and plate has been inspected 1,000 times, ensuring the integrity of our fragile bubble. I adjust the gain on the long-range sensors, watching the waves of particles as they break against our magnetic deflectors. It looks like a soft, translucent curtain of light, shimmering with colors that the human eye was never meant to see. We interpret these flows through our machines, translating the invisible into something we can understand and manage. In the galley, the recycled water is filtered and chilled, tasting faintly of minerals and the cold steel of the pipes. I take a slow sip, feeling the liquid ground me in the present moment as the station rotates. The artificial gravity is set to 1/3 of Earth's standard, giving every movement a light, effortless grace. There is a specific peace found in the quiet watch, away from the bustle of the main habitat modules. Here the only company is the steady pulse of the Pulsar and the occasional click of a relay switching over. It is a time for reflection, for thinking about the distance between this place and the world we once called home. Beyond the primary shields, the planet Phobetor looms, a massive gas giant caught in the Pulsar's tight grip. Its atmosphere is stripped and buffeted by the solar winds, creating a long tail of ionized gas that stretches across the system. We monitor its position carefully, as its gravity affects the stability of our orbital path. The maintenance drones are currently docked in the secondary airlock, their sensors dark as they undergo their recharge cycle. Tomorrow, they will venture out into the void to patch the ablative plating on the forward hull. For now, they rest, their metallic frames catching the dim light of the corridor. I notice a small smudge on the primary display and wipe it away with a soft cloth, revealing the clean lines of the data. The shield harmonics are holding steady at 99.9% efficiency, a perfect score for this shift. It is satisfying to see the systems in such harmony working together to keep the radiation at bay. In the small hydroponic garden near the bridge, the ferns are reaching toward the violet grow lights. They provide a splash of green in an environment dominated by grey and blue, a living connection to the soil of a distant planet. I spend a few minutes checking the nutrient levels, ensuring the roots are well fed and the moisture is balanced. The air pressure in the garden is slightly higher than in the rest of the station, a choice made to help the plants breathe. It smells of damp earth and life, a stark contrast to the sterile scent of the corridors. I linger here for a moment, letting the stillness of the greenery ease the tension in my shoulders. Back at the console, I log the hourly readings into the archaic database that serves as our primary record. These entries will be beamed back to the inner systems, arriving weeks later as a simple confirmation of our continued presence. We are a footnote in the history of the stars, but a vital one for the safety of this outpost. The Pulsar Lich was first discovered hundreds of years ago, a remnant of a star that exploded long before humans walked upright. It is a ghost of a sun, spinning in the blackness and dragging its family of dead planets along with it. To be here is to stand in the presence of something truly timeless. I can hear the faint ping of micrometeoroids hitting the outer hull, a sound that is as common as rain on a tin roof. The shielding absorbs the impact, the layers of carbon fiber and ceramic dissipating the energy before it can reach the interior. It is a reminder that even in the silence, the universe is never truly still. My chair creaks as I shift my weight, the sound echoing softly in the empty room. I check the chronometer, noting that the sleep cycle for the rest of the crew is halfway finished. In a few hours, the station will stir with the activity of the day shift, but for now, the quiet is mine. The magnetic deflectors require a slight adjustment to account for the increasing intensity of the pulsar's wind. I enter the commands slowly, watching as the projected shield geometry shifts to better align with the incoming flow. It is a delicate process, like tuning a musical instrument to a frequency that only the machines can hear. As the station moves into the shadow of Draugr, the smallest of the 3 planets, the pulsar is momentarily eclipsed. The flickering light vanishes, replaced by a deep, absolute blackness that seems to press against the windows. This is the only time we can see the distant galaxies clearly, their light no longer drowned out by the pulsar's glare. I stare into that immense distance, wondering about the other civilizations that might be looking back at us. In this system of ghosts and radiation, it is easy to feel small, yet the work we do gives our lives a sense of purpose. We are the protectors of this small pocket of warmth in a cold and indifferent cosmos. The eclipse ends as we clear the planet's limb, and the pulsar's beam returns with its relentless cadence. The monitors flare back to life, and the shadows retreat to the corners of the room. I return to my logs, documenting the transition and the stability of the power grid during the brief period of darkness. The cooling system cycles into a lower power state, the hum of the pumps dropping an octave as the thermal load decreases. This shift in the background noise is subtle, but after months on the station, I have become attuned to every change. The machines have their own language, a series of clicks and whirs that tell the story of their health. I think about the engineers who designed these shields, working with equations that had to account for the extreme physics of a neutron star. Their foresight is what allows us to sit here in comfort, protected from the lethal environment just a few meters away. Every weld and every circuit is a shield against the inevitable. The station's rotation brings the star field back into view, a slow carousel of light that never fails to fascinate. I watch a distant nebula, its clouds of gas glowing with a faint, ethereal light that takes thousands of years to reach us. It is a reminder that we are part of a much larger story, one that spans across eons. In the crew quarters, the lights are dimmed to a soft red, a signal to the body that it is time for rest. I will join them soon, once the final checks of the magnetic coils are complete. For now, I enjoy the solitude, the feeling of being the only one awake in this corner of the universe. The data stream from Earth is currently interrupted by the Pulsar's interference, a common occurrence during this part of our orbit. We will have to wait another 4 hours before the signal clears and we can receive the latest news from home. It creates a sense of isolation that is both daunting and strangely peaceful. I check the oxygen levels one last time, noting the steady balance of nitrogen and argon that keeps us breathing. The life support system is a closed loop, a perfect circle of recycling and renewal that mimics the natural cycles of a planet. We have brought a piece of our home world with us, tucked away inside these metal walls. The shield generators are glowing with a faint blue light, a phenomenon caused by the high-voltage ionization of the surrounding gas. It is a beautiful sight, a halo of energy that surrounds the station like a protective cloak. I watch it for a moment, mesmerized by the way the light dances across the hull plating. As the quiet watch draws to a close, I begin to prepare the handover notes for the next technician. I record the shield's stability, the cooling levels, and the minor adjustments I made to the magnetic deflectors. It is a routine that ensures continuity, a bridge between the different shifts that keep this station running. The Pulsar continues its steady beat, a lighthouse in the dark that guides us through the long hours of the sleep cycle. Its light is a reminder of the power of the cosmos, a force that is both destructive and awe-inspiring. We have learned to live in its shadow, finding a way to thrive in a place that was never meant for us. I stand up and stretch, feeling the light gravity pull at my muscles in a gentle, familiar way. The station is quiet, the only sound being the soft hiss of the air vents and the distant hum of the engines. It is a good time to be alive, to be a part of this grand experiment in the stars. I walk toward the airlock that leads to the living quarters, my footsteps making a soft, rhythmic sound on the padded floor. The lights in the corridor are low, guiding me toward the warmth and comfort of my berth. My shift is over, and the station is safe in the hands of the machines and the watchers who will follow. The magnetic fields are stable, the shields are strong, and the Pulsar remains as constant as ever. I take one last look at the monitors, satisfied with the work that has been done. The void is immense. But here, inside our metal shell, we have created a world of our own. As I move through the habitat, I pass the window one last time, seeing the faint glow of the Pulsar's beam as it strikes the edge of the atmosphere. It is a sight that never grows old, a reminder of the beauty that can be found even in the most hostile environments. I leave the bridge in silence. the quiet of the station following me as I prepare for rest. The transition from the control room to the living quarters is a journey from the technical to the personal. I pass the small lockers where we keep our mementos of home, the photographs and trinkets that remind us of the world we left behind. These small items are the anchors that keep us grounded in the immense reaches of space. In the quiet of my berth, I listen to the distant sounds of the station, the faint vibrations that tell me everything is as it should be. The Pulsar's pulse is a ghost in the background, a cadence that I have come to rely on for my own sense of time. I close my eyes, letting the stillness of the habitat wrap around me as I drift towards sleep. The secondary maintenance hub, located deep within the reinforced spine of the station, remains a place of profound stillness during these hours. The walls, composed of matte carbon fiber and brushed aluminum, absorb the faint hum of the distant reactors, leaving only the most delicate vibrations to be felt through the soles of my boots. Here the amber safety lights cast long, soft shadows that stretch across the deck, creating a landscape of gold and charcoal. It is in this quietude that the true scale of our endeavor becomes clear, as every bolt and every seam represents a triumph over the unforgiving vacuum outside. I move toward the magnetic conduit junction, where the lifeblood of our shielding system flows in silent, invisible streams. The thick cables, bundled together like the sinews of a great beast, pulse with a dim, azure light that signifies the constant flow of energy. There is a specific peace to be found in the monitoring of these systems, a realization that while the crew sleeps, the station itself is breathing and watching. I check the pressure gauges, their needles resting comfortably within the green zones, indicating that the magnetic deflectors are holding firm against the Pulsar's relentless wind. Further down the hall, the drone deployment bay stands ready, its robotic occupants suspended in their charging cradles like sleeping insects. One unit is active, its multi-jointed arm moving with a deliberate liquid grace as it inspects a spare shield tile for microscopic fractures. The faint whir of its motors is the only noise in the room, a high-pitched melody that blends into the background of the station's ambient life. These machines are our silent partners, tireless sentinels that ensure the integrity of our metal shell remains absolute. I pause by a thick observation port, one of the few windows in this industrial sector of the habitat. Outside, the violet radiation of the Pulsar creates a shimmering veil against the blackness, a beautiful and deadly display of celestial power. The light is filtered through multiple layers of leaded glass and electromagnetic fields, reaching my eyes as a gentle, ghostly glow. It is a reminder of the strange world we have chosen to inhabit, a place where the very stars demand our constant vigilance and care. Nearby, the cooling lines are covered in a thin, delicate layer of crystalline frost, as they work to dissipate the immense heat generated by the shield arrays. The white vapor vents periodically from the relief valves, creating small clouds that vanish into the ventilation system almost as soon as they appear. The temperature in this corridor is noticeably lower, a crispness that wakes the senses without being uncomfortably cold. I run a gloved hand along the frosted pipe, feeling the textured ice melt slightly under my touch before the station's climate control reclaimed the moisture. I enter the central processing node, a room filled with rows of black server towers that house the station's primary artificial intelligence. The air here is dry and carries the faint scent of ozone, while thousands of tiny white light-emitting diodes blink in a complex shifting pattern. This is the brain of our outpost, calculating the precise fluctuations of the pulsar's beam millions of times every second. The low murmur of the cooling fans creates a white noise that is incredibly soothing, a digital lullaby for the machines that never sleep. Walking further, I pass through the quiet hydroponics garden, which is currently in its dark cycle to allow the plants to rest. The ultraviolet lamps have been dimmed to a soft purple, casting an otherworldly hue over the rows of kale, soy, and medicinal herbs. The smell of damp earth and growing things is a welcome contrast to the sterile metallic scent of the maintenance decks. It is a small piece of a distant home, carefully tended and nurtured in the heart of this metal vessel, providing both food and comfort to the souls on board. In the engineering sub-level, the massive gears of the gravity centrifuge turn with a slow industrial grace that is almost hypnotic to watch. The machinery is so well balanced that there is no grinding or jarring, only a deep, resonant vibration that can be felt in the chest. This system provides the gentle pull that keeps our bones strong and our spirits high during these long-term missions. I stand for a moment watching the great wheels spin, feeling the weight of the station as it rotates through the silent void. I take a moment to look at an exterior camera feed on a nearby monitor, showing the primary shield array from the outside. It is a lattice of metal and sensors, glowing with a faint protective aura as it deflects the incoming particles from the pulsar. Against the backdrop of the stars, the station looks fragile, a tiny spark of life in a boundless ocean of shadow. Yet the engineering is sound, and the shields are strong, a testament to the ingenuity of those who came before us. Inside the primary airlock, the walls are lined with bulky white pressure suits, their visors reflecting the dim overhead lights. Each suit is a self-contained habitat, a personal vessel for those rare times when we must step out into the vacuum to perform manual repairs. They hang in their racks like empty husks, waiting for the hands and hearts that will bring them to life. The air in the lock is still, a pocket of pressurized quiet that separates the warmth of the station from the cold of the universe. My path takes me to a small technician's workbench, cluttered with specialized tools and half-finished components. A soldering iron remains in its stand, a thin wisp of smoke rising from its tip as it maintains its standby temperature. There is a sense of history in these tools, many of them passed down through generations of engineers who have called this station home. I pick up a calibrated torque wrench, its handle worn smooth by years of use, and feel a connection to the long line of watchers who have kept this place running. A holographic display in the corner shows a map of the system, with the 3 rocky planets orbiting the pulsar in their tight, eccentric paths. The planets are rendered in shades of grey and ochre, their irradiated surfaces a stark contrast to the vibrant life within our walls. We call them Poltergeist, Phobator and Draugr, names from archaic myths that reflect the ghostly nature of this star system. Watching them rotate on the display, I am struck by the isolation of our position and the importance of the work we do to maintain this fragile sanctuary. I pass the large, translucent tanks of the water reclamation system, where bubbles rise slowly through thick beds of green algae. This biological filtration process is essential for our survival, turning waste into life-sustaining water through a series of natural cycles. The soft gurgle of the water is a pleasant organic sound that breaks the mechanical monotony of the deck. It is a reminder that even in the most technical environments, we rely on the fundamental processes of nature to sustain us. The crew mess hall is empty now, the long metallic tables reflecting the dim, blue night cycle lighting. A single forgotten mug sits on a counter, a small sign of the life that fills this room during the active shifts. Shadows stretch across the floor, and the silence is so thick it feels almost tangible, a blanket of calm that covers the heart of the habitat. I enjoy these moments of solitude, when the station feels like it belongs only to me and the machines. At the very center of the engineering deck lies the shield generator core, where concentric rings spin in opposite directions to create the necessary magnetic fields. The core emits a low, steady hum that serves as the heartbeat of our defenses, a constant reminder of the power we harness. The rings are a blur of polished chrome and copper, moving with a precision that is both beautiful and terrifying. I check the alignment sensors one last time, satisfied that the fields are perfectly balanced for the coming hours. I look through a high magnification window at the planet Poltergeist, its rocky surface scarred by eons of radiation and micrometeorite impacts. Even from this distance, the landscape looks harsh and unforgiving, a world of jagged peaks and deep shadow-filled craters. There is a certain majesty in its desolation, a reminder of the raw power of the cosmos that exists just beyond our hull. It makes the warmth and safety of the station feel even more precious, a small ember of life in a frozen sea. The long skeletal arm of the communication array points steadily toward a distant star, searching for the faint signals from the inner colonies. It is our only link to the rest of humanity, a fragile thread of data that carries news, music, and messages from home. The dish rotates slightly, making a soft clicking sound as it adjusts its heading to compensate for the station's orbital drift. In the silence of the night, it feels like a lonely voice calling out into the dark, hoping for an answer. I step into a cargo lift, feeling the floor vibrate slightly as it begins its slow descent to the lower storage decks. The walls of the lift are scratched and dented, showing the wear and tear of decades of service in this industrial outpost. As the lift moves, I watch the floor numbers change slowly on the display, each one representing a different layer of our complex world. The journey is slow and steady, a mechanical measure that allows me a few moments of reflection before reaching my destination. In the emergency supply room, a rack of oxygen cylinders stands in a neat row, their brass valves gleaming in the low light. Each tank is a promise of safety, a backup for the systems that keep us breathing in this hostile environment. I check the seals on the nearest rack, my fingers tracing the cold metal of the canisters as I ensure everything is in its proper place. It is a routine task, but one that brings a sense of security and order to the quiet watch. Finally, I reach the small observatory at the base of the station, where a powerful telescope is trained on the Pulsar itself. Through the lens, the star is a tiny, blinding point of light, surrounded by a swirling nebula of gas and dust. It is the source of all our challenges and all our wonder, a spinning remnant of a long-dead star that continues to command the heavens. I sit in the darkness for a long moment, watching the pulsar's steady flash, feeling the immense weight of time and space pressing against the glass. Beyond the next bulkhead, the cooling systems await, their icy breath a necessary counter to the heat of the pulsar's embrace. The heavy pressure door cycles open, with a low, hydraulic groan, admitting me into the thermal management corridor. Here the atmosphere is noticeably sharper, chilled to a crisp temperature that keeps the sensitive superconducting magnets from overheating. My boots make a dull, muffled thud on the insulated floor grating as I step further into the blue-tinted dimness of the sub-zero levels. The walls are lined with thick, frost-dusted conduits, carrying liquid helium in a continuous loop through the heart of the station. I reach for the first manual bypass valve, its iron wheel cold even through my reinforced gloves, and give it a measured quarter turn. There is a faint singing hiss from within the pipes as the coolant pressure redistributes itself across the primary shield array. This is the lifeblood of our protection, the invisible barrier that keeps the pulsar's lethal radiation at bay. Without this constant flow, the heat from the star would warp our hull in a matter of minutes, turning our sanctuary into a furnace. To my left, a wide observation pane reveals the immense radiator fins, extending like the wings of a great silver bird into the void. They glow with a faint, ghostly luminescence, shedding the heat of the station into the absolute zero of space. It is a slow, silent exchange, a cosmic trade of energy that allows us to persist in this unforgiving neighborhood. I watch the way the starlight glints off the crystalline frost that has formed on the exterior struts, a delicate lace of ice in a place of fire. Moving down the walkway, I pass the magnetic containment monitors, where rows of teal lights pulse in a steady, calming measure. Each light represents a structural node, a point of strength in the invisible web that surrounds us. The data scrolls across the screens in a slow, hypnotic crawl, confirming that the magnetic fields are holding firm against the solar wind. It is a delicate balance, a dance of forces that requires constant vigilance and a gentle touch. I pause at the entrance to the secondary pump room, where the hum of the turbines creates a deep, resonant vibration in my chest. The noise is a constant companion here, a mechanical lullaby that speaks of stability and endurance. I check the pressure gauges, their needles hovering precisely over the green markers, indicating that the system is operating at peak efficiency. There is a profound sense of satisfaction in seeing the machinery work so perfectly, a testament to the engineers who built this outpost. In the corner of the room, a small automated drone sits on its charging pad, its amber status light blinking slowly. It is a silent sentinel, ready to deploy at the first sign of a leak or a drop in pressure. I run a hand over its smooth composite casing, feeling the warmth of its internal batteries through the metal. Even the smallest components of our habitat play a vital role, contributing to the collective safety of everyone on board. I continue my walk, entering a section of the corridor where the ceiling is lower, and the walls are padded with acoustic foam. The stillness here is profound, broken only by the distant rhythmic throb of the main life support fans. It is a place for reflection, a quiet corner of our metal island where the scale of our undertaking feels most tangible. We are so far from the sun, so far from the green hills of our origin, yet we have built a home among the stars. Through a small circular porthole, I catch a glimpse of the Pulsar's lighthouse beam, sweeping across the distant horizon of the planet below. It is a terrifyingly beautiful sight, a reminder of the raw, unbridled energy that we are harnessing and resisting all at once. The light is so intense that the shielding glass must darken automatically to protect my eyes from the glare. In that brief moment, I feel the true weight of the silence that surrounds us, a boundless ocean of black. I reach the manual override station for the thermal vents, a small alcove filled with brass switches and analog dials. I adjust the venting sequence, watching as the needles on the display move with a slow, deliberate grace. The station breathes, a mechanical exhale that releases the built-up tension of the thermal load. It is a necessary relief, a way of ensuring that the habitat remains stable as we move deeper into the sleep cycle. Beside the controls, a small framed photograph is tucked into the corner of the console, showing a sun-drenched field of wheat. It is a stark contrast to the cold, industrial reality of my surroundings, a reminder of what we are working to protect. The colors seem almost impossibly vibrant, the gold of the grain and the blue of the sky feeling like a half-remembered dream. I touch the corner of the frame, a brief connection to a world that feels light years away. I turn my attention back to the task at hand, checking the integrity of the lead-lined conduits that run overhead. These pipes carry the most critical fluids, the ones that must never fail, even in the event of a total power loss. I look for any signs of stress, any hairline fractures in the metal that might indicate a future problem. Everything appears solid. The craftsmanship of the station holding up against the relentless pressure of the environment. As I move toward the cargo bay, the floor beneath my feet changes from grating to solid steel plating. The atmosphere here is slightly warmer, smelling faintly of ozone and old machine oil. Large crates are stacked neatly against the walls, containing the spare parts and supplies we need to keep the shields functioning. Each crate is labeled with a series of complex codes, a language of logistics that keeps our small colony running smoothly. I find the specific locker I'm looking for and pull out a handheld diagnostic tool, its screen glowing with a soft white light. I calibrate the device, the small beeps it makes sounding loud in the quiet of the bay. I am searching for any micro fluctuations in the magnetic hull, tiny ripples that might suggest a thinning of our protection. The scan takes a few minutes, the progress bar moving with a slow, steady pace across the display. While I wait, I lean against a stack of crates, letting my eyes rest for a moment in the half-light. The station feels alive around me, a complex organism of metal and wire that breathes and pulses with a life of its own. I can hear the distant clang of a pipe expanding, the soft whir of a ventilation fan, and the faint murmur of the communication array. It is a symphony of industry, a comforting reminder that I am not alone in this void. The diagnostic tool chirps, signaling that the scan is complete and the results are within the expected parameters. I feel a wave of relief wash over me, a quiet tension leaving my shoulders as I stow the device back in its locker. We are safe for another shift, another cycle of the Pulsar's relentless rotation. I take a deep breath, savoring the cool, filtered oxygen that sustains us in this airless place. I begin the long walk back toward the central hub, my footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. The lighting has dimmed even further, shifting to a deep, restful violet to signal the start of the late-night watch. Most of the crew will be in their bunks by now, dreaming of gravity and open skies. I am one of the few still awake, a silent guardian of the machines that keep the darkness at bay. I pass through the automated wash station, where a fine mist of disinfectant cleans my suit of any metallic dust. The sensation is brief and refreshing, a cool spray that marks the end of my rounds in the lower decks. I step out the other side, feeling lighter and more relaxed, the weight of the responsibility easing as I approach the living quarters. The transition from the industrial to the domestic is always a welcome change. In the common room, the large viewing window is partially shuttered, leaving only a narrow sliver of the stars visible. I sit on the edge of a cushioned bench, watching the way the light of the pulsar reflects off the interior bulkheads. It creates a shifting pattern of silver and grey, a liquid movement that is endlessly fascinating to behold. I sit in the stillness for a long time, letting the quiet of the station wrap around me like a blanket. I think about the generations that will follow us, the children who will be born in the shadow of this pulsar. For them, this metal world will be the only home they have ever known, a place of wonder and routine in equal measure. They will walk these same corridors, check these same gauges, and look out at these same stars. It is a humbling thought, a reminder of our place in the long history of human exploration. I stand up and make my way toward the primary generator core, where the final checks of the night await me. The air here is charged with static electricity, making the hair on my arms stand on end as I approach the massive glowing cylinder. It is the heart of our world, the source of the power that fuels our shields and our lives. I reach out to touch the protective casing, feeling the immense energy thrumming just beneath the surface. The energy here is a physical presence, a low-frequency vibration that I feel in my marrow. It is the lifeblood of our shielding, the invisible armor that keeps the pulsar's lethal breath at bay. I move my hand along the console, the haptic interface responding with a series of gentle tactile pulses. Each one confirms that the magnetic flux is holding steady at 98% efficiency. I turn away from the core and step into the primary conduit, a long curved tunnel that follows the station's outer hull. Here the shielding is most intense, and the walls are lined with thick lead glass ports. I stop at one, looking out into the void. The pulsar is not visible from this angle, but its effect is unmistakable. A shimmering curtain of sapphire light dances just beyond the glass, the magnetic field catching the stream of high-energy particles. It looks like a ghost, a flickering spirit trapped in a cage of our own making. This is the shield's song, a visual representation of the battle between human ingenuity and stellar fury. I watch the light for a moment, mesmerized by its slow, undulating movement. It is a reminder of how fragile we are, and how much we rely on these machines to survive. The corridor is quiet, save for the distant metallic groan of the station adjusting to the thermal stress. It is a familiar noise, one that I have learned to find comforting over the years. It means the structure is flexible, that it is breathing with the changes in temperature. I continue my walk, my boots making a soft, measured thud against the padded floor panels. I reach the access hatch for the secondary cooling loops, a series of pipes that carry liquid nitrogen to the outer emitters. The metal is cold to the touch, a thin layer of frost coating the joints. I check the pressure gauges, the needles pointing to the green zones with reassuring precision. Everything is as it should be, a testament to the hard work of the maintenance crews. I move deeper into the station toward the agricultural sector. The transition is marked by a change in the atmosphere, the dry, metallic scent of the industrial decks giving way to the smell of damp earth and growing things. It is a sudden, wonderful shift, a piece of old Earth preserved in the middle of this frozen system. The hydroponic bays are bathed in a soft magenta light, a spectrum designed to maximize plant growth during the sleep cycle. I walk through the rows of leafy greens and tall stalks of grain, the leaves rustling as I pass. The humidity is higher here, a warm mist that clings to my skin. It is a living, breathing part of our home, a vital link to our past. I find a small bench near the tomato vines and sit for a moment, letting the stillness of the garden wash over me. The plants do not care about pulsars or magnetic shields. They only know the water, the light, and the nutrients we provide. There is a simplicity in their existence that I find deeply peaceful. I close my eyes and listen to the gentle trickle of the irrigation system. It is a delicate balance we maintain here, a closed loop of life and technology. Every drop of water, every breath of oxygen is recycled and reused. We are a part of this cycle, as much as the plants or the machines. I feel a sense of belonging, a connection to this small, self-contained universe we have built among the stars. After a time, I stand and continue my journey toward the observation spire. The climb is slow, a spiral of metal stairs that leads to the highest point of the station. With every step, the hum of the core grows fainter, replaced by the profound silence of the upper decks. I reach the top and step out onto the circular platform. The view here is breathtaking. The entire station is laid out below me, a sprawling complex of modules and corridors glowing with internal light. Beyond it, the immense expanse of the Pulsar system stretches out into the distance. I can see the faint rocky shapes of the planets orbiting the dead star. 3 silent companions in the black: Poltergeist, Phobetor, and Drauga. They are names from a forgotten mythology, given to worlds that should not exist. They are the survivors of a supernova, remnants of a planetary system that was destroyed and then reborn. I look at Drauga, the closest one, its surface a jagged landscape of ice and stone. It is a lonely place, but it is our neighbor. I check my chronometer. The shift is nearly 2/3 complete. The station is transitioning into the deepest part of the sleep cycle, the time when the lights are at their lowest and the activity is at its minimum. I feel a sense of calm, a quiet satisfaction in knowing that my work is helping to keep this fragile habitat safe. I descend the stairs and head toward the signal processing room, where the data from the Pulsar is collected and analyzed. This is the brain of the station, the place where we listen to the star's heartbeat. The room is filled with the soft glow of monitors and the quiet chatter of the computer systems. I sit at the main console and begin the final data dump of the shift. The screens are filled with scrolling lines of code and complex wave patterns. It is a language I have learned to read, a story of energy and magnetism. I monitor the pulses, each one a precise millisecond-long burst of radiation. They are so regular, so predictable, that they could be used to set a clock across the galaxy. I finish the data transfer and log out, the screens dimming as I leave the room. The corridor outside is nearly dark, the violet lights now a faint glimmer. I move with a sense of purpose, my steps light and easy. I'm heading toward the crew's common area, a place where I can find a moment of companionship before the end of my watch. The common area is empty, but the remnants of the evening are still there. a half-finished book on a table, a stray jacket draped over a chair, the faint scent of coffee. It is a human space, a place where we can forget for a moment that we are living on a metal outpost millions of miles from home. I sit in one of the large chairs, looking out the window at the stars. The stars here are different than they were on Earth. They do not twinkle. They are steady, piercing points of light in an absolute void. I find myself looking for the constellation of Orion, but it is lost in this new sky. We have made our own constellations now, patterns of stars that mean something to us in this corner of the universe. I feel a deep sense of peace as I sit in the silence. The station is a sanctuary, a fragile bubble of life in a hostile environment. We are the keepers of this flame, the guardians of this small light in the darkness. It is a responsibility that I carry with pride, a purpose that gives my life meaning. I stand up and prepare to make my way to the final checkpoint of the shift, the airlock transition zone. This is where the station meets the void, the last line of defense against the vacuum. I walk through the quiet halls, my mind drifting as I think about the day to come. The cycle will begin again, a new shift, a new set of challenges, but for now there is only the quiet. I reach the airlock and check the seals one last time. The indicator lights are a steady, reassuring green. I place my hand on the cold metal of the outer door, feeling the absolute stillness of the space beyond. It is a reminder of the frontier we are living on, the edge of the known and the unknown. I turn and walk back toward the heart of the station, ready for the transition to the next phase of our long journey. The path ahead is illuminated by the soft, familiar glow of the habitat's guidance lights. I move away from the airlock, my boots making a dull, muffled thud against the padded flooring of the primary transit spine. The atmosphere here is crisp, filtered through 3 layers of scrubbers, carrying the faint, clean scent of ozone and recycled minerals. I can feel the subtle shift in gravity as the station's rotation adjusts for the shift change, a gentle swaying that exists more in the inner ear than in the muscles. I turn into the magnetic induction corridor, a long, curving tunnel that houses the primary shielding coils. These massive rings of superconducting material are the only things standing between us and the relentless wind of the Pulsar. The walls are composed of matte-finished titanium, reflecting the cool blue glow of the status lights in long, distorted streaks. There is a low-frequency murmur here, a vibration that I feel in my chest more than I hear with my ears. It is the song of the magnets, a steady, unwavering tone that speaks of immense power held in check. I run my hand along the cool metal of a conduit, feeling the faint tremor of the coolant fluids rushing within. I pass a series of inspection ports, small windows made of thick, leaded glass that look into the heart of the coil housings. Inside, I see the shimmering violet light of the plasma stabilizers, dancing like captured lightning within their vacuum chambers. It is a beautiful, dangerous sight, a reminder of the forces we have harnessed to survive in this corner of the galaxy. I reach the junction for the green lung, the habitat's primary hydroponic sector, where the industrial aesthetic of the station gives way to something more organic. The transition is marked by a change in the light, shifting from cool blues to a warm, full-spectrum gold that mimics the sun of a home we have never seen. The humidity rises slightly, the atmosphere becoming thick with the scent of damp earth and growing things. I walk along the elevated catwalk, looking down at the rows of tiered planters that stretch out below me. Ferns and broad-leafed vines spill over the edges of their containers, their leaves a vibrant deep green under the artificial glare. This is the heart of our life support, a delicate ecosystem that provides us with oxygen, food, and a much-needed connection to the natural world. I stop for a moment to watch a small maintenance drone as it moves among the plants, its delicate manipulators pruning a stray leaf with surgical precision. The drone's movements are fluid and silent, a testament to the advanced robotics that keep this station running. It is a quiet, industrious scene, a small pocket of life thriving in the middle of a radioactive void. I continue through the gardens, the path winding between tall stalks of genetically modified wheat and clusters of succulent fruits. The leaves rustle softly as I pass, a gentle whispering noise that is incredibly soothing after the mechanical hum of the engineering decks. I take a deep breath, letting the rich, earthy scent of the garden fill my lungs and calm my mind. I reach the far end of the green lung and enter the elevator that leads to the observation spire, the highest point on the station. The lift moves with a silent, effortless grace, the floor pushing gently against my feet as we ascend. I watch the levels of the habitat pass by through the glass walls, a vertical city of light and metal. I step out into the observation lounge, a wide circular room with floor-to-ceiling windows that offer an unobstructed view of the Pulsar system. The room is dimly lit, the only illumination coming from the soft glow of the stars and the faint flickering light of the distant Pulsar. I find a comfortable chair near the window and sit, letting the magnitude of the view wash over me. Out there in the black, the Pulsar spins with incredible speed, its twin beams of radiation sweeping through the vacuum like the beacons of a cosmic lighthouse. The beams are invisible to the naked eye, but I can see the way they interact with the surrounding gas and dust, creating shimmering curtains of blue and violet light. It is a hauntingly beautiful display, a celestial dance that has been going on for millions of years. I look toward the planet Poltergeist, a dark, rocky orb that orbits the Pulsar in a tight, frantic circle. It is a desolate place, scoured by radiation and gravity, yet there is a certain majesty in its lonely existence. I can see the faint glow of our mining outposts on the dark side of the planet, tiny sparks of human ingenuity in an indifferent universe. Further out, the planet Phobetor remains a silent sentinel, its surface hidden beneath a thick shroud of frozen gases. It looks like a giant, pale marble hanging in the void, a world of ice and shadow that we have only begun to explore. I wonder what secrets lie beneath that frozen crust, what stories the ice could tell if it had a voice. I lean back in my chair, the silence of the lounge wrapping around me like a warm blanket. The only murmur is the faint, rhythmic pulse of the station's life support, a steady beat that matches the slow, measured pace of my own breathing. I feel a deep sense of peace, a quiet contentment that comes from knowing my place in this grand, cosmic design. I turn my gaze toward the star map terminal, where a holographic representation of our local sector floats in the air. The stars are connected by thin, glowing lines, tracing the paths of our transport ships and the boundaries of our influence. It is a small map in a very large universe, but it represents everything we have built, everything we have achieved. I stand up and walk toward the chronometry lab, the room where we keep track of the pulsar's precise timing. The lab is filled with clocks of all shapes and sizes, from ancient mechanical devices to the most advanced atomic oscillators. They all beat in time with the pulsar, a symphony of seconds and milliseconds that defines the pace of our lives. I watch the main display, where the pulsar's pulse is visualized as a steady, repeating wave on a screen. The wave is perfectly regular, a heartbeat that never falters, never skips a beat. It is the most accurate clock in the universe, a constant reference point that we use to navigate the stars and coordinate our efforts. I check the calibration of the primary oscillator, the numbers on the screen scrolling by in a blur of precision. Everything is within the expected parameters, the station's systems perfectly synchronized with the pulsar's cadence. I record the data and save the log. Another small task completed in the long cycle of my shift. I leave the chronometry lab and begin the final leg of my journey, heading toward the residential sector and my personal quarters. The corridors here are even quieter, the lights dimmed to a soft moonlight glow to encourage rest. I pass several closed doors, the names of my colleagues etched into the metal plates, a reminder of the community that lives and works here. I reach my own door and pause for a moment, looking back down the long, quiet hallway. The station is a marvel of engineering, a fragile sanctuary in a hostile environment, but it is also a home. I feel a sense of gratitude for the safety and comfort it provides, for the purpose it gives to my life. I place my hand on the sensor, and the door slides open with a faint metallic hiss, revealing the familiar, cozy space of my room. The air inside is cool and still, the light a soft, welcoming amber that invites me to rest. I step inside and let the door close behind me, the sound of the station fading into a distant, comforting murmur as I prepare to end my watch. The door slides shut, and for a moment I simply stand in the dimness of my quarters. The atmosphere here is different from the rest of the station, carrying a faint scent of ozone and the clean, sterile crispness of the filtration units. It is a private sanctuary, a few square meters of personal history tucked away within the carbon fiber bones of the habitat. I move toward the small, reinforced observation pane that looks out into the void. The pulsar, though millions of kilometers away, casts a spectral violet glow across the interior walls. It is a flickering light, so fast that the human eye perceives it only as a steady, haunting shimmer that never truly fades. I watch the way the light catches the edges of my desk, a simple piece of molded composite that has held my coffee and my notes for 3 years. There is a comfort in these familiar shapes, a sense of continuity that grounds me. The station may be hurtling through the vacuum, but here everything is still and purposeful. On the small terminal by my bed, the shield status remains a constant, glowing green line. It represents the magnetic bottle we have woven around ourselves, a protective cocoon that deflects the lethal wind of the dead star. I can almost feel the energy of it, a silent, invisible barrier that stands between us and the radiation of the Lich. This star, once a massive sun that collapsed into a dense, spinning core, is a reminder of the universe's capacity for transformation. It is only 20 kilometers across, yet it holds more mass than our entire home sun. It spins 714 times every second, a dizzying pace that we have learned to live by. I sit on the edge of the bed, the mattress yielding slightly under my weight. The fabric is cool to the touch, a high thread count synthetic designed to wick away heat during the long hours of rest. I take a deep breath, feeling the tension of the maintenance shift slowly drain from my shoulders. Outside the window, a small maintenance drone drifts past, its thrusters firing in tiny, silent bursts of blue gas. It is checking the exterior sensors, ensuring that the magnetic field remains uniform across the hull. It looks like a slow-moving firefly against the backdrop of the deep, star-strewn blackness. I think about the planets that orbit this pulsar, the first worlds ever discovered outside our own solar system. They are ghost worlds, bathed in the relentless glow of the neutron star, yet they possess a strange, stark beauty. Drauga, Poltergeist, and Phobitor, names given to things that haunt the shadows of our understanding. We have built our home here to study them, to understand how life might one day exist in even the most extreme environments. It is a slow, methodical process, a labor of decades that requires patience and a quiet mind. Every data point we collect is a small victory, a tiny light in the vastness of the unknown. The vibration of the station's primary centrifuge provides a low, comforting acoustic backdrop. It is a frequency I have grown so accustomed to that I only notice it when I truly listen. It is the heartbeat of our artificial gravity, a constant reminder that we are held safely in the grip of our own engineering. I reach out and touch the surface of a small hydroponic plant sitting on the windowsill. It is a hardy variety of moss, engineered to thrive in the low-light conditions of the station's night cycle. Its leaves are a deep, vibrant emerald, a splash of organic color in a world of steel and glass. Water trickles through the small irrigation tube, a delicate, tinkling noise that reminds me of a mountain stream. We recycle every drop of moisture on this station, a closed loop that mirrors the cycles of a distant planet. It is a reminder that we are part of a larger system, even here in the isolation of deep space. I lean my head back against the wall, closing my eyes for a moment. In the darkness behind my eyelids, I can still see the flickering violet light of the pulsar. It is a persistent image, a visual echo that stays with me even when I am not looking at it directly. I imagine the magnetic field lines stretching out from the station, a complex web of energy that interacts with the pulsar's wind. It is a delicate dance, a constant adjustment of frequencies and intensities to maintain the balance. We are the conductors of this silent symphony, ensuring that every note is played with precision. The station's central computer performs a routine diagnostic, the soft chirps of the interface echoing in the quiet room. Everything is functioning within the optimal parameters, a testament to the skill and dedication of the crew. We are a small community, but we are united by a common purpose and a shared destiny. I stand up and walk to the small kitchenette, where a carafe of chilled water waits for me. I pour a glass, the liquid clear and refreshing as it slides down my throat. It is a simple pleasure, but one that I have learned to appreciate more deeply in this environment where nothing is taken for granted. I look at the chronometer on the wall, the numbers ticking away the seconds of the sleep cycle. It is nearly time to fully surrender to the rest, to let the station take over the watch while I drift into the quiet realms of sleep. The transition is always a gentle one, a gradual slowing of the mind and body. I turn off the main light, leaving only the soft amber glow of the floor-level safety lamps. The room transforms into a space of long shadows and soft highlights, a landscape of peace and tranquility. The outside world, with its radiation and its vacuum, feels like a distant memory. I slide beneath the covers, the cool sheets wrapping around me like a protective layer. I can hear the faint, rhythmic pulse of the air recycler, a steady measure of time that lulls me toward a state of deep relaxation. My thoughts begin to wander, drifting through the history of the station and the wonders we have seen. I think of the pioneers who first came to this system, the brave souls who saw the potential in this dead star. They laid the foundation for everything we have built, their vision and their courage paving the way for our presence here. We are the guardians of their legacy, the keepers of the flame in the cold reaches of the galaxy. The station feels solid and secure around me, a fortress of technology and human ingenuity. I feel a sense of profound safety, a trust in the systems and the people that keep this habitat functioning. It is a collective effort, a harmony of man and machine that allows us to thrive in the void. I watch the way the shadows move on the ceiling, cast by the slow rotation of the station's outer ring. They are long, graceful shapes that slide across the surface, a visual representation of our movement through the cosmos. We are always traveling, even when we are at rest, moving through the infinite reaches of time and space. My breathing slows, becoming deep and regular as I ease into the first stages of sleep. The Pulsar's light continues its frantic dance outside, but here, in the quiet of my room, everything is calm. I am a small part of a much larger story, a single thread in the intricate tapestry of the universe. I feel a sense of gratitude for this moment of peace, for the opportunity to rest and recharge before the next shift begins. The work we do is important, but the rest we take is equally vital, a necessary balance that sustains us in the long run. I am drifting now, the boundaries of my room fading as I move toward a place of total stillness. The hum of the station becomes a distant murmur, a soothing white noise that clears my mind of any remaining thoughts. I am ready to let go, to surrender to the quiet embrace of the sleep cycle. As the last traces of wakefulness fade, I feel a deep connection to the station and the pulsar beyond. We are all moving together, a synchronized dance of energy and matter that defines the essence of existence. I close my eyes and let the silence take me, moving toward the deep, restorative rest that awaits me in the heart of the Lich system. The dreamless state of deep rest takes hold, while the station continues its tireless vigil around the pulsar. Far below the living quarters, in the coolant veins of the primary shield generators, the liquid helium moves with a silent, freezing grace. It carries away the heat of the Lich's relentless radiation, keeping the delicate magnetic coils at temperatures near absolute zero. Every few minutes, a valve clicks open with a metallic tap, releasing a tiny puff of pressure into the secondary reclamation tanks. This mechanical pulse is the only life in the lower decks during these hours, a testament to the engineering that keeps us safe. The corridor lights here are dimmed to a soft violet, a hue that minimizes interference with the optical sensors monitoring the hull. On the exterior hull, the Pulsar shields are shimmering with an ethereal glow, catching the high-energy particles and redirecting them into the void. The magnetic fields are invisible, yet they create a shimmering distortion in the starlight, like heat haze on a summer road. It is a protective shell, a thin layer of human intent, standing against the fury of a collapsed star. The monitoring drones move along their tracks with a faint electric whine, their multispectral eyes scanning for microfractures. They are the silent gardeners of this steel forest, tending to the panels and the sensors with a precision that exceeds our own. They do not tire, they do not sleep, and their presence is a comfort to those of us resting within the habitat. In the hydroponics bay, the plants are bathed in a gentle, artificial moonlight, a cycle designed to mimic the distant home we left behind. The leaves of the ferns and the vines of the tomatoes rustle slightly as the ventilation system breathes through the room. This oxygen-rich space is the lungs of our colony, a green sanctuary in the middle of a radioactive desert. The water in the nutrient tanks ripples as the pumps cycle, a soft liquid murmur that echoes against the glass walls. It is a peaceful place where the scent of damp earth and growing things provides a grounding contrast to the sterile halls of the command center. Here, life finds a way to thrive, supported by the very energy that would otherwise destroy it. Further up in the observation lounge, the telescope displays are flickering with data from the surrounding planets. Drauga, Poltergeist, and Phobator move in their lonely orbits, three scorched worlds dancing around their dead sun. We watch them from afar, studying their compositions and their histories, looking for clues to the secrets of the universe. The lounge is empty now, the plush chairs and low tables waiting for the next shift of weary explorers. A single tablet sits on a side table, its screen glowing with a half-finished report on solar wind density. The silence here is profound, a weightless quiet that reflects the immense distance between us and the nearest star system. In the central hub, the artificial intelligence is processing millions of data points every second, its processors humming with a low-frequency vibration. It manages the power distribution, the atmospheric levels, and the shield integrity with a calm efficiency. It is the silent mind of the station, a watchful presence that ensures our survival while we dream. The light from the Pulsar occasionally catches the edge of a solar sail, a brilliant flash of white that illuminates the docking bay for a fleeting moment. Then the shadow returns, and the station is once again a silhouette against the backdrop of the Milky Way. We are a tiny spark of light in the great expanse, a beacon of curiosity in the cold. The secondary shield arrays are rotating slowly, their massive frames turning with a grace that belies their immense size. They are aligned to the precise frequency of the Pulsar's beam, a feat of mathematics and engineering that feels almost like art. Each rotation is a measured step in a dance that has lasted for decades. Back in the sleeping quarters, the recycled atmosphere is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of ozone and clean linen. The soft amber safety lamps cast a warm glow on the metal walls, creating a sense of intimacy and security. It is a small, private space, a sanctuary where we can shed the responsibilities of our roles and simply be. The faint vibration of the station's rotation is a constant presence, a gentle movement that is felt more than heard. It is a reminder that we are always in motion, traveling through the cosmos at incredible speeds. Yet, within these walls, we are safe and still, protected from the harsh realities of the vacuum. My mind drifts through the memories of the day, the tasks completed and the challenges overcome. The calibration of the primary sensor, the inspection of the docking seals, the quiet conversation with a colleague over a meal. These small moments are the fabric of our lives here, the threads that bind us together as a community. The station is a marvel of human ingenuity, a testament to our desire to explore and understand the unknown. It is a fragile thing, a bubble of life in a hostile environment, yet it is also incredibly resilient. We have built it to last, to withstand the pressures of the void and the fury of the Pulsar. In the distance, a small cargo ship is approaching the station, its thrusters firing with a soft blue light. It is a supply run from the inner colonies, bringing fresh food, spare parts, and news from home. Its arrival is a reminder of our connection to the rest of humanity, a link across the immense distances of space. The docking sequence is a slow and delicate process, a series of precise maneuvers that require the utmost care. The ship moves closer, its sensors locking onto the station's beacons until it is finally secured in the docking bay. The connection is made, the seals are pressurized, and the cargo is ready to be unloaded. But for now, the station remains quiet, the work of unloading the ship, waiting for the morning shift. The new arrivals will sleep in the guest quarters, their dreams filled with the excitement of their journey and the promise of their new assignment. We are all part of the same mission, all working toward a common goal. The Pulsar continues its frantic spin, a beacon of energy in the dark of the system. It is a reminder of the power of nature, the incredible forces that shape the universe. And we are here to witness it, to study it, and to learn from it. Our presence, a testament to the enduring spirit of exploration. The cycle of the station continues, a steady measure of time that marks the passing of the hours. We are moving toward the dawn, toward the start of a new shift and a new set of challenges. But for now, there is only the quiet, the peace of the sleep cycle, and the steady pulse of the Pulsar in the distance. The stars outside remain fixed in their positions, a celestial map that has guided travelers for eons. We are part of that map now, a tiny point of light among the billions, contributing our own story to the history of the stars. The docking clamps have finally ceased their metallic groaning, leaving a profound stillness in the aft corridor. The fresh supplies are tucked away in the pressurized hold, waiting for the morning crew to catalogue their arrival. There is a specific kind of peace that follows the completion of a major task, a quiet satisfaction that permeates the metal and glass of our home. I can hear the distant, muffled thrum of the primary ventilation fans, circulating the recycled warmth that keeps the chill of the vacuum at bay. Through the reinforced quartz of the observation lounge, the Pulsar, known as the Lich, remains a constant, flickering eye. Its rapid spinning creates a strobe of radiation that would be lethal, if not for the magnetic lattice we maintain. This shield is our invisible umbrella, a complex web of energy that deflects the worst of the stellar storm. I watch the shimmering curtains of the barrier, where the energy of the dead star meets our artificial protection. It is a dance of light and physics, a glowing testament to the technology that allows us to reside here on the edge of the impossible. The 3 planets orbiting this Pulsar, Draugr, Poltergeist, and Phobetor, are silent witnesses to our long vigil. They are rocky, desolate places, yet they are the only neighbors we have in this lonely corner of the galaxy. I find myself wondering about the history of these stones, how they survived the supernova that created the pulsar in the first place. They are survivors, much like we are, clinging to existence in a place where life was never meant to be. The station orbits in a careful path between them, a tiny needle threading the eye of a gravitational storm. My fingers trace the cool edge of the control console, feeling the slight vibration of the magnetic coolant pumps. Everything is within parameters, the harmonics of the shield generator holding steady at 99.9% efficiency. There is no need for adjustment, no urgent alarms to break the quiet of the sleep cycle. The data streams across the monitors in a soft blue crawl, reporting on the health of the station with a clinical precision. It is a comforting sight, a reminder that the machines are doing their work, allowing us to focus on the human side of survival. It is time to leave the bridge to the automated systems, which will watch over us while the rest of the crew finds their rest. The artificial intelligence hums a low, comforting tone, a digital lullaby that echoes through the empty corridors. I log out of my station, the screen dimming to a soft grey as the power save mode engages. The room feels larger now, the shadows stretching across the deck plates as the secondary lighting takes over. I take one last look at the pulsar, its light a steady, rhythmic pulse that seems to match the beating of my own heart. Walking down the long spine of the habitat, my boots make a dull, muffled thud against the padded floor. The overhead lights have dimmed to a soft amber, signaling the final phase of the transition to sleep. I pass the doors to the crew quarters, each one marked with a small, glowing nameplate. Behind these doors, my friends and colleagues are dreaming of Earth, or perhaps of the future we are building here. We are a small community, bound together by the shared experience of living in the deep black, and there is a profound sense of trust that connects us all. I pass the hydroponics bay, where the smell of damp earth and growing greens provides a brief respite from the sterile atmosphere. The plants are thriving here, their leaves reaching toward the ultraviolet lamps that mimic the spectrum of a distant yellow sun. We grow tomatoes, kale, and even a few strawberries, small tastes of home that are worth more than any amount of credits. The water trickles through the irrigation pipes with a gentle, bubbling sound, a reminder of the life-giving systems that we must carefully tend. It is a garden in the desert, a green oasis in the middle of a radiation-soaked void. There is a comfort in this routine, a sense of purpose that transcends the isolation of our location. We are the keepers of the light, the guardians of a small pocket of life in the frozen reaches of the system. Our work is not always exciting, but it is necessary, a slow and steady effort to understand the universe and our place within it. Every day we learn something new. Every hour we add another page to the history of human exploration. We are the pioneers of a new age, the ones who have chosen to live among the stars. In the galley, the automated kettle has just finished its cycle, and the scent of herbal tea fills the small room. I take a moment to sit, watching the stars drift slowly past the small porthole in the outer wall. The tea is warm in my hands, a simple luxury that reminds me of the comforts we left behind. We have traded the familiar for the extraordinary, the certain for the unknown, and I would not have it any other way. The station is a city of ghosts at this hour, the only movement coming from the slow rotation of the gravity ring. Our mission here is one of endurance, a long-term study of how life can persist in the most extreme conditions. We are testing the limits of our technology and our own resilience, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. It is a quiet kind of heroism, one that is measured in years rather than minutes. I think of the generations that will follow us, the children who will be born on stations like this, who will call the stars their home. We are laying the foundation for their future, building a bridge to a new way of being. I think of the people back on Earth, living under a sky that is blue and a sun that is warm. Their lives seem so distant now, like a dream from another lifetime. Yet they are the reason we are here. We are the scouts, the ones who go first to make sure the path is safe for those who will follow. It is a weighted responsibility, but it is one that we carry with pride. The connection to our home planet is a thin thread, but it is strong enough to keep us grounded, even as we float in the abyss. My cabin is small, but it is mine, a private sanctuary in the middle of this industrial marvel. I hang my jumpsuit on the hook, the fabric still holding the faint scent of the machine shop and the recycled air. The room is filled with personal mementos, photographs of family, a small stone from a beach, a book with well-worn pages. These objects are our anchors, the things that remind us of who we are when we are not engineers or scientists. I sit on the edge of the bed, feeling the fatigue of the long shift finally catching up with me. The bed is narrow and firm. The sheets cool against my skin as I slide beneath the covers. I close my eyes, and the hum of the station becomes a backdrop to my thoughts, a steady measure that guides me towards sleep. The walls of the cabin are thick, designed to provide a sense of security and privacy in the crowded station. I can feel the subtle shift in the air as the climate control adjusts for the sleep cycle, lowering the temperature just a few degrees. It is a perfect environment for rest, a cocoon of safety in the middle of the storm. Beyond the hull, the Pulsar continues its eternal rotation, a beacon that has been flashing for millions of years. It does not care for our presence, yet we have made a home in its shadow, a testament to our adaptability. The shields will hold, the atmosphere will remain breathable, and the station will continue its journey through the void. We are safe, we are warm, and we are exactly where we are meant to be. The Pulsar is no longer a threat, but a companion, a constant presence in our lives. As the last of my consciousness fades, I feel a sense of peace wash over me, a deep and restful quiet. The day is done, the watch is over, and the stars are waiting for the morning to arrive. There is no urgency now, no tasks that cannot wait for the next shift to begin. The station is in good hands, protected by the machines and the watchful eyes of those who remain awake. I let go of the day, letting my mind drift into the half-light of dreams. Sleep comes easily now, a soft descent into a place where the boundaries of the station disappear. We are one with the cosmos, a tiny spark of life in the infinite dark, resting before the cycle begins anew. The Pulsar's light continues to pulse, a silent heartbeat that echoes through the station and into our dreams. We are the dreamers in the dark, the ones who look at the stars and see a home. And as we sleep, the station carries us forward, deeper into the mystery of the universe. The silence of the cabin is absolute, broken only by the rhythmic breathing of a person at rest. It is a sacred time, a moment of stillness in a world that is always in motion. I feel the weight of the blankets, the softness of the pillow, and the gentle pull of the artificial gravity. Everything is as it should be, a perfect balance of technology and nature. The station is a marvel, a bubble of life that we have carved out of the void, and I am grateful to be a part of it. In the distance, the stars are like diamonds, scattered on a velvet cloth, each one a sun with its own story to tell. We are part of that story now, a small chapter in the history of the galaxy. Our presence here is a sign of our curiosity, our courage, and our enduring spirit of exploration. We have come so far, yet there is still so much more to see, so much more to understand. But for now, the only thing that matters is the quiet, the peace, and the promise of a new day. The morning will bring new challenges, new tasks, and new discoveries to be made. We will wake up, put on our jumpsuits, and begin the work of maintaining our home in the stars. We will check the shields, monitor the sensors, and tend to the plants in the hydroponics bay. We will support each other, share our stories, and continue the mission that brought us here. But that is for tomorrow tonight. There is only the sleep and the stars. The Pulsar's beam sweeps across the station one last time, a silent goodbye to the day that has passed. It is a beautiful sight, a reminder of the power and the majesty of the universe we inhabit. We are small, but we are not insignificant, for we are the ones who bear witness to the wonders of the cosmos. As the station drifts through the quiet of the sleep cycle, we rest in the knowledge that we are safe, we are home. And the stars will always be there to guide us. Thank you for spending this quiet shift with me. Until next time, on Orbital Nights, sleep well.